It began without agreement. Not a start, not an invitation. Just a point at which silence required more effort than sound. Someone said something that did not complete itself. Well, if it was enough. A response appeared, not directly, but nearby in structure. If so, then this. Not a reply, not incorrect. Conversation formed in partial pieces, phrases that hovered then shifted in leases. No sentence insisted on being complete. They settled for something adjacent to meet. I said, evenings holding, which was not a contribution, but it entered the system successfully. They repeated the rhythm, not the words, placing emphasis where I had not. Even hold close enough. It wasn't about meaning not clearly defined, just patterns that managed to loosely align. A gesture replaced what words couldn't do, a tilt of attention that carried us through. At one point, I attempted a full sentence. I believe we are, believe. That seemed acceptable. We adjusted to fragments. Fragments adjusted to us. No one corrected the structure. Correction implies a standard. It was easier to continue than to define, to let things proceed in a loosely held line. No need to complete, no need to insist. A conversation sustained by what we dismissed. Someone laughed slightly early. Someone else responded to the timing, not the sound. We followed the pattern more than the sense, a sequence of almost with minimal expense. And somewhere between what was said and not said, something like dialogue quietly spread. They asked something, or shaped something, in the form of a question. Why use this? I answered by lifting the nearest object. That seemed to resolve the structure of the exchange. It was easier to answer in motion than speech, to demonstrate something just out of reach. If meaning was present, it stayed undefined. We left it to settle where pattern aligned. At no point did we agree that we were speaking, which allowed the conversation to continue. And by the time it might have been useful to understand what was being said, we had already said enough to avoid needing to